I'm Nicholas Dadgostar for the United States Air Force Warrior Team.
And I'm John Register from the United States Olympic Committee, and you're watching Delmarva Life.
I cannot wait to talk to those guys.
Yeah, interesting stories.
Absolutely. We're going to do that here in just a minute, as a matter of fact. You know, every day journalists from around the world put their lives on the line to report from the front lines of war. Unfortunately, many have been killed in action trying to bring their readers and viewers a true account of what's happening in war zone. Some credit news reports from reporters like CBS's Dan Rather with Making Vietnam, the living room war.
Well, it was during the Vietnam War that a cub reporter with the News Journal in Delaware also brought the front lines to America. Nancy Lynch was 48 hours out of college when she was hired by the paper. Her first assignment? Correspond with troops serving in Vietnam. What she didn't know at the time, this assignment would change her life.
It's overlooking Khe Sanh. We watch as Charlie, the enemy, throws rounds in on the unfortunate Marines.
Nancy Lynch is reading a letter written to her more than 40 years ago.
Please, we want all the people of the United States to know what it's like here in Nam.
It's one of more than 1,000 letters she received during her first assignment as a reporter for the News Journal in 1968.
I didn't know if I'd get a single letter, but I thought, at that time, we had 800 and some Delaware servicemen in Vietnam.
The assignment, published letters written by Delaware soldiers serving in Vietnam, and a column entitled Nancy's Vietnam Mailbag.
And I said, really, this column is yours. It's not mine, but this is for you to write about anything, the war to the weather, and you can gripe, you can vent, you can whatever. Just this is your forum, and if you are so inclined, write to me and we'll put your letter and picture in the column.
And they did.
3 weeks went by, no mail. And I thought, not going to work, but we tried. And I understood because our guys were a little busy fighting a war. And then the very next day, as it so often happens, the first letter arrived, just one. And I remember I was in the newsroom and just held the letter up. I couldn't even open it. I just looked at it and I thought, wow, this is from Vietnam. It's 12,000 miles away and it's addressed to me. Next day, 10 letters. Next day, 15. I mean, it just rolled on.
It started as a once-a-week column, but the volume of letters turned it into a column printed twice a week.
Though my views on Vietnam are not 100% pro, I am an American and I am fighting for my country. Some letters were funny, some letters just made you crack up, and other letters were sad. And I lost 3 buddies yesterday, but they wanted to get it out. They wanted to let readers at home know exactly what was going on.
For Nancy, the column created relationships.
Wonderful relationships. We were pen pals. And having received nearly 1,000 letters, hundreds of pictures, patches, sand from Da Nang, mud from foxholes. These were my guys. I can't say it enough.
Some of those relationships ended tragically.
That was very, very tough. I have 3 letters from troopers who were subsequently KIAs. And it was a tough situation, but then, everyone knew we were at war, and that was, that happens.
Eventually, the war ended, and the letters stopped coming.
It was very emotional in some ways for me, especially when the guys came home. So many made the extra effort to come to the newsroom and see me, and I'll never forget the one serviceman who brought 12 red roses.
In the last column, Nancy made a promise.
And I said, someday, I hope to put all your letters and pictures in a book to honor you and all Vietnam veterans.
That someday didn't come until nearly 40 years later.
You know how life intervenes, and we all are busy and with kids and all that. Fortunately, in my column, I didn't say, I'll do this in the next year or so. And actually, it worked out really better. In '06, when I was going away on vacation, I had a 2-week block of time. by myself. And I don't know what led me to the barn where I had stored all the letters, but something did. And I thought about it, and I went and retrieved the box, had to remove a mouse nest and all. It had been stored for a long time in that old barn. And I just grabbed the letters and I went on my vacation, and for the next 2 weeks, literally night and day, I just sorted letters by week and by month and by year, and I had all the columns, and I knew at the end of those 2 weeks back in '06, 8 years ago, we had a book.
Vietnam Mailbag, Voices from the War, 1968 to 1972, is a collection of the letters, pictures, and other items sent to Nancy during those years.
And the book reads almost like a diary. It's a narrative, and it's a very accurate, honest picture of what they went through for those last 5 years of the war, and their joys and their fears, and read between the lines. Sometimes you don't even have to do that in their letters, just to know they missed home so very, very much.
Nancy tours the country doing talks on the book. To this day, she's still meeting some of her guys for the first time.
The most fun is that today, 40-some years later, I never know who's going to show up in a talk. And I may know the name, but I might not know the face, and of course time has passed. But as soon as the trooper says the name, I know he's one of my guys.
And to this day, they still thank her for giving them a voice during this uncertain time.
Some of the troopers were so appreciative of Nancy's column, they actually named a landing zone after her. It's called LZ Nancy. Nancy says that's how she signs her books. Now, she has donated most of the letters and pictures to the Delaware Archive. And if you would like to order a copy of the book, go to our website, WBOC.com. Click on our picture at the top of the page. Well, Nancy certainly shared the stories of some brave servicemen. And even today, there are so many fearless warriors who stand in the line of danger for our sake. Jimmy, you have more on that.
Lisa, a gunshot wound to the head, post-traumatic stress disorder, a 60-foot fall from a helicopter. These are just some of the devastating injuries endured by the 200 servicemen, women, and veterans who will be participating in the upcoming Warrior Games. And one of those from right here on Delmarva. I'd like to introduce you to retired Air Force Staff Sergeant Nicholas Dadgostar from Felton, Kent County. Here he is competing in the 100-meter race during the Warrior Game trials. We are so happy to say Nicholas earned a spot in the 2014 Warrior Games. They're underway in Colorado Springs. We're happy to have Nick, along with John Register, with the U.S. Paralympics on Delmarva Live today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
So glad to be here.
So, John, tell me right off the bat here, what are the Warrior Games?
The Warrior Games are a multi-sport, multi-event competition for injured, ill, and wounded service members from the combat fields of Iraq and Afghanistan, also to those that are kind of the 70% of those who were just injured in everyday training accidents.
Okay, so why are you in the middle of this? What motivated you to participate?
Well, for me, I'm now one of the directors of the program, but I was injured back in 1994, kind of that 70% that were not injured in combat, even though I was a Gulf War veteran. Right. And the care that we saw back there is not the care that we have today. There's a lot of things that the United States military is doing for our injured service members to get them back to a healthy and active lifestyle. Sports is one of those avenues. And I was very fortunate to start this program back in 2004 when the first injuries came at Walter Reed and then across the country. Now it's ballooned into the Warrior Games, and we have great athletes here from all branches of service to really create their new normals and jump back into a healthy and active lifestyle.
Two-part question. What are you taking part in, and how'd you train for it?
So in track, I'm taking in the 100 meter, the 200 meter, the 4x100 meter, swimming, the 50 free, and sitting volleyball. Training came from universities. Dell State track coach, Kevin Brunskill, he helped me train 3 to 5 times a week with him. And then University of Delaware varsity volleyball team actually took an hour out of their practice and sat down and learned sitting volleyball with me, and taught me the basics and what I needed. And I took the skills and I made the Air Force team.
So competing athletes weren't just injured in battle, it's just being associated with it, and you get involved as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine was non-combat related. It was I was on a mission down the Virgin Islands, and while down there, I was hit by a boat while in the water.
So what do these games mean to you?
Oh, it means a lot. When I was down, nobody counted on me anymore.
Yeah.
It was me counting on everybody else. I couldn't walk for 7 months. It took me about 2 years to fully recover, and I stopped pushing myself. So in these games, the teams, they're counting on me again, and to have that feeling to be that important is everything. And to have those feelings back it's heartfelt, and I'm so ecstatic to be here.
That is absolutely terrific. John, Nick, good luck to you both. How about that? Nick, a Felton native formerly stationed at Dover Air Force Base. If you'd like to read more about the Warrior Games, just go to WBOC.com and click on our picture at the top of the page. An incredible story. Well, you have got to have tons of energy to be a part of a competition like that, that's for sure. But everyone needs to keep their energy up throughout the day. So up next on Delmarva Life, we're going to hear 5 simple things you can do to help keep your battery running on full. One thing certainly impacting that battery is losing valuable sleep the night before. So up next, we're going to hear from a sleep expert on the true causes of nightmares. And from keeping your batteries full to keeping your belly full. Still ahead, we're going to be in the Delmarva Life kitchen making bacon cheddar empanadas. Delmarva Life, we'll be right back.